Allow me to introduce myself.
I am the last sane sports fan.
I am a genius by trade.
I just knew too much. Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Does that make me crazy? Possibly.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another View from the Midwest. No real rant topics going on today, so I figured we might as well do a little quick hitting around the world of sports. So let's do it. Kind of merging in with yesterday's topic about Kris Bryant. He came out and talked to the media today and pretty much said what a player should say in these kind of instances. He said he was deeply disappointed with the fact that the Chicago Cubs told him that his on-field performance would be honored, and then he did not make the opening day roster. But he turned around and said he was going to use that as fuel, as motivation, and that he was hungrier than ever to make the big league ball club. And I really applaud this kid. He said he was going to leave all the extra stuff to the union and to his agent and all that kind of stuff. Let them take care of it and just sit there and play baseball. And that's what an athlete should do. That's what your agent is for. That's what the union is for if you want to make a big deal out of it. I don't believe that that's a good idea on anybody's part. Kris Bryant will find himself in a Chicago Cubs uniform sooner rather than later. So just use it as motivation. Then the Chicago Cubs will be all the better for it. Something brought up yesterday on ESPN, specifically PTI, was the fact that there's this rumor going around that basically LeBron James is calling the plays for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and their head coach Blatt is basically just a figurehead. That is absolutely ridiculous. Unless you want to go back to the days of the Boston Celtics when Bill Russell was the player coach, in which case I'd be fine with that. Just make LeBron James the actual coach. But if you're not going to do that, you have to have somebody who is respectable in that position. You can't sit there and have a coach who is just a figurehead and LeBron James actually coaching that team. It's an absolutely ridiculous situation. You look at the teams that have won the NBA championship over the past few years. You had Phil Jackson with the Bulls and with the Los Angeles Lakers. He was able to handle big personalities. You had Greg Popovich with the San Antonio Spurs. You've had Pat Riley. He was an excellent coach. He hasn't won an NBA title in quite a long time, but he was with the Knicks, and he's with the Heat, and he was with the Los Angeles Lakers back in the day. He was able to handle big personalities. If the Cleveland Cavaliers want to be able to win a championship, they have to find somebody who is willing to take charge of that team, because unless you just want to hand the reins over to LeBron James, make him a player coach, then they need to find somebody who is going to elicit respect from that locker room. The big topic going on right now, specifically in my hometown, is hockey injuries right now. Basically, I'm tired of being lied to. That's what it boils down to, because it happens all across sports, regardless of what team you like, regardless of who you root for and who's injured. We get lied to a lot. I've come to grips with the idea of, okay, maybe I'm never going to get the full information. You're going to get that stupid upper body, lower body injury crap that they like to spew out. That's fine. I've come to accept that. Don't lie to me, though, because there's rumors going around right now that the St. Louis Blues' Vladimir Tarasenko could be out for the rest of the regular season, maybe even into the playoffs. Don't tell me that he's day-to-day if he is not going to be available for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever the case may be. The St. Louis Blues did it a couple years ago when Yaroslav Halak got hurt in the first game of the playoffs when Barrett Jackman took him out. And then they kept saying, well, he could be ready for the next game. He could be ready for the next round. We come to find in the offseason, there was no way in heck he was ever going to come back during that season, because his knee was pretty much injured beyond the point of repair in terms of coming back very quickly. There are lots of other teams that do this. There are lots of other sports that do this, but it's really starting to stick in my craw in terms of hockey right now. You don't have to tell us what the injury is, but give us a more specific timeline. If it really is day to day, just come out, give us the real information. Tagging along with that, hockey players need to start wearing full face shields. I know they won't like it at first, and I know it won't be as good for TV because you can't see the face, and that's what we as fans like to see, facial expressions. It's not as good from a directorial aspect in terms of trying to see what the players' emotions are and all that kind of thing. But Drew Miller of the Detroit Red Wings just caught a skate across the face. Thought he lost an eye. He was freaking out heading over towards the locker room. He literally thought that he no longer had an eye in his socket because a skate came up, clipped him across the face, and he was lucky that it just grazed the eyelid, and basically he's going to be okay. He'll probably have a gnarly little scar or something that supposedly the chicks will dig into the future. But it's getting to be a situation where too many pucks are coming up, hitting people in the face, too many skates. It's a dangerous sport. You're going to have that in any kind of sport, but they need to adopt a more proactive approach and require players to start wearing the full face shields. I don't think it would be that big a deal because all the way up through junior hockey, including college, they're required to wear this, and then all of a sudden you get to the pro ranks and you can take it off. Just require them to keep it on there, to keep them safe, keep the eyes intact. What's wrong with staying in college? I loved college. I don't understand this big deal about it where everybody that plays sports is looking to get out of college so quickly. The Kansas Jayhawks just lost one of their top prospects in Kelly Oubre. Quite frankly, I don't necessarily see him as being ready for the NBA game yet. I don't think he's got the body yet. I don't think he's got the game yet. But I will freely admit that I've thought that about plenty of players who didn't play for Kansas, who did play for Kansas. Regardless of that kind of situation, there have been plenty of players that I didn't think that they were ready. They go to the pro game. They proved me wrong. Andrew Wiggins is a perfect example of that. I didn't think he was big enough. I didn't think he was strong enough. Didn't think he had enough overall game. He's lighting it up for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That being said, there are far more players who are not ready to go, and I really hope that the NBA and NCAA get together on this proposal change that would allow an invitation-only camp and a longer period for players to decide what their future is going to be and give them more information. And if you don't get invited to this camp, basically you're not going to be drafted, so players get a better chance to stay in school. College is a great time. You can come to me with all this argument about, oh, well, they're making so much money for the school, they need to be paid, whatever. That's bull. I'm never going to believe in that. Stay in school. It's not going to hurt you all that much. I completely understand this idea that some players have to take care of their families. Those are the ones that I can understand if they need to go, but you're only going to get one contract for sure if you're not quite ready. And in the long term, I think a lot of players would be better served getting that extra seasoning under great college coaches. They're just not willing to put in the time. That'll wrap it up for today's View from the Midwest. I'll catch you next time.
I remember when I lost my